We all know Steph Curry is universally regarded as the greatest three-point shooter of all time. There's really no argument. This man has changed the game forever. Now we have more three-point shooting in the NBA. But what if we lived in a world where Steph Curry did not have his jump shot? What if we lived in a world where he was just an athletic, very good ball handler with no outside game? In this video, I decided to recreate Stephen Curry with no jump shot, no free throw, and here's what I came up with. Ladies and gentlemen, meet Wardell Curry. Yes, I decided to go back in time and basically recreate Stephen Curry with his framework, 6'3", point guard out of the state of North Carolina. But instead of being an elite shooter, we're dealing with a freak athlete, and he decided to attend North Carolina University instead of Davidson, as we all know Stephen Curry went to in real life. This guy can shoot the mid-range shot well, he can attack the basket like no other, but the areas he lacks are the areas Stephen Curry excels at, obviously, in real life, which is three-point shooting and free throw shooting. But this guy can defend, again, attack the basket like a menace. Will he have a better career than Stephen Curry? That's what we're gonna find out in this video. I will be putting him in the 2023 NBA draft and simulating his career, and by the end of this video, we'll know who the best Curry really is. I went ahead and simulated the season before, and the Atlanta Hawks ended up winning the title, bro. What's up with the Hawks in the sim, dog? Trae Young is a beast. The Sacramento Kings win the lottery, but it really doesn't matter because Wardell Curry ends up going 13th to the Brooklyn Nets, the pick right before the Golden State Warriors at 14. He could have teamed up with Curry at a young age, but nonetheless, here we go, y'all. Year one. All eyes across the NBA were on Wardell Curry for his rookie season. He came in flashy, hot, came in and made an immediate impact for the Brooklyn Nets. This Nets team did feature Mikal Bridges, of course. They also featured a big man tandem of Rudy Gobert and Nick Claxton in the paint, which made it easier for Wardell to find assists. The best game of Wardell's young rookie career came against none other than Stephen Curry in the Golden State Warriors. Now, the Warriors did end up winning this game, but as you can see, Wardell popped off for 31, 11 assists and 5 steals, but Stephen Curry and the Warriors were too much as Steph dropped 35, 7, and 7. It reminded him who the best Curry really is at this point in his career, and thus the Brooklyn Nets ended up having a middle of the pack first season for Wardell, finishing 40 and 42. Now, Wardell would end up taking home Rookie of the Year honors, averaging 23.5, 7 boards, and 9 assists a game for a rookie. But as you can see, that was only good enough to get us in the play-in tournament, which they would end up losing the 9th seed Nets to the 10th seed Raptors at home, ending a great rookie campaign for Wardell. Now, the Pacers will go on to sweep the Memphis Grizzlies in the NBA Finals. Now we're in year 2. I think it's safe to say Wardell came out firing his sophomore season. He came out with a purpose and thus led the Brooklyn Nets to a positive record. Still in the play-in tournament, but nonetheless, Wardell proved himself as a young player in the NBA. He averaged 21 points while still shooting 12% from the three-point line, but still averaging a double-double with 10 assists and also 6 boards. And again, his career high night this season came against none other than the Golden State Warriors. But in this effort, he ousted Steph Curry in the Warriors, outdoing him, out-battling him. To this signify the torch being passed amongst the Currys? I don't know, I guess we're about to find out. Nonetheless, the Brooklyn Nets would destroy the Golden State Warriors, but as the season came to a close, bad news would hit Wardell. He was sidelined with a dislocated left patella and missed the playoffs, and thus the Atlanta Hawks went on to win another NBA championship. Wow. Year 3. Year 3 was a rough year for Wardell. He was spent most of the beginning of the season rehabbing from that left patella injury from last season, and thus his numbers took a dip. He didn't make any all-star teams or anything like that, and then also the Brooklyn Nets as a whole took a dive, and they barely made the play-in, which they lost to the Washington Wizards despite Wardell having a pretty solid game, and thus his overall did not go up, but they only motivated him for the next season coming up as they ended up getting destroyed. It was pretty bad, I ain't gonna lie. But year 4 is on the horizon as we did watch the Wembanyama Spurs win a title. Before we could get started with year 4, we have to announce the retirement of Steph Curry. Yes, Steph Curry is gone from the league, but that man Wardell was not concerned as he came out having a career season. Listen, he averaged a little over 22 a game, under 10 assists, but shooting 63% from the field. And after the team acquired Jalen Duren in the offseason, we finished with the best season in ages for the Nets, 59 and 23, and Wardell led this young team to the playoffs, in which his numbers did take a little dip against the Indiana Pacers, but they started off the series up 2-0, winning the first 2 games at home, but this game 3 was crazy. It ended up going to not 1 overtime, not 2 overtimes, but this game ended up going to a triple overtime thanks to a mirage of clutch shots, and the game came down to the final minutes again. In the final seconds of overtime, the Brooklyn Nets are down 1. Mikal Bridges attacks the basket, gets a couple free throws to go, but on the ensuing possession, the Indiana Pacers, which featured a lot of young guards, hit a shot to go up 1. And the game is in Wardell's hands, and I'm not gonna lie to you guys. This man Tyrese playing the greatest defense of his life and locked this man Wardell up, and he ended up missing a game-winning layup to lose game 3, and thus, I'm not even gonna lie to you guys, man. The Brooklyn Nets would not only lose this game in particular, they would also lose the next game, and then they ended up winning game 5 at home, come back and lose in blowout fashion to the Pacers in game 6 on their court, and they had a game 7 as the #1 seed and get crushed, and they're gone. Sad, but year 5 on the way. Now, during the offseason, Wardell signed a 5-year, $250 million extension to stay with the Brooklyn Nets, thus solidifying his love and loyalty for the city. And after losing Jalen Duren in the offseason, the team went out and traded for DeAndre Ayton to try to help Wardell Curry win this chip. Oddly enough, the Nets ended up having a worse season, finishing 5th in the East, with teams like the Milwaukee Bucks with Scoot Henderson and Giannis finishing higher than them, and another season went by where Wardell Curry did not see an all-star team. It's crazy. Nonetheless, Wardell did average 21, 11.5 assists, and 6.5 rebounds to lead this Nets team to the playoffs, but it did not get easy. They ended up going down 0-2 to the Atlanta Hawks, who, as we know, are a dynasty in Sims. I don't get it. Nonetheless, the team was down 2-0, came home, and Wardell put the team on his back to go ahead and tie this series back up after hitting some clutch free throws in game 4, and the city had hope. The city had hope that this team would make it past the first round with this young kid who couldn't shoot a lick, but somehow was averaging 20 and had this team on his back. The team went into Atlanta, won game 5, and everything was up. 5 years into the NBA, he had his first chance to close out, win an elimination game, and he did it exactly that. Game 6 versus the Atlanta Hawks, he put up a triple-double at home, and the Brooklyn Nets would defeat the dynamic, all-time great Atlanta Hawks team at Trae Young and celebrate like they won a championship, deservedly so. Nobody gave them a chance. Now they would face a familiar foe in the Washington Wizards, in which the Wizards upset the #1 seed this year, so the Nets ended up having home court and took advantage, winning game 1, but they would go on to lose 3 straight against the Wizards and find themselves down the hole of 3-1. Wow. No one gave them a chance at this point again. They were like, oh man, they barely beat the Hawks. No way they coming back down 3-1, right? Well, the Nets will go on to win the next 2 games of the series, one at home and one on the road, and thus making game 7 in Brooklyn a movie. Everyone in the city was hyped. They felt like this was the time. The #1 seed was out. The Atlanta Hawks were out. The Miami Heat were in the conference finals waiting, and we felt like this Nets team had enough to get it done. Well, game 7, Derrick Whitehead hits a shot to go up 2, and the game is in Wardell Curry's hands. And he misses the free throw, something he's been working on all year. But he had a chance to put the Brooklyn Nets up 3, and after having a monster game, he hits the clutch free throw, and the Nets have one job: get 1 stop, and they do exactly that. And the Brooklyn Nets would advance to the Eastern Conference Finals in 2028 to face the Miami Heat, and Wardell Curry has a chance to lead the Brooklyn Nets to the NBA Finals, but this will prove to be Wardell's hardest task, possibly of his career. The Miami Heat team that he's facing in the Eastern Conference Finals isn't just a regular team, y'all. They split the first 2 games at home. The Miami Heat would come back and win 3 straight games, thus eliminating the Brooklyn Nets and advancing the Miami Heat to the NBA Finals. And this Heat team featured none other than Victor Wembanyama and Brandon Miller. I'm trying to figure out how to even slip to a 6th seed, but nonetheless, Tyler Hero lifts up the trophy, and the Brooklyn Nets watch their season go by. Yet, for young Wardell, it was inspiring. Leading his team to the conference finals made him more hungry, and Victor, yeah, we know. You start year 6. Here we are, year 6. The year that everybody around the league thinks the Brooklyn Nets will take off. But as we all know, things just don't go according to plan. The Brooklyn Nets again ended up finishing middle of the pack, but this time they didn't have to play in the play-in tournament, so they'll finish as a 6th seed. Wardell had a pretty solid year, 96 overall now, so he's already one of the premier players in the NBA. Still not making an all-star team, but nonetheless led his team to the playoffs where he would go crazy against the Hawks. As we all know, that intimidation factor the Hawks have is not there anymore. You can clearly tell, man, Wardell was out there asserting his dominance all over the court against the Hawks, and he would thus put the Brooklyn Nets up 3-2 in this series after hitting some late clutch free throws for a change, y'all. And there was a point in time where this kid was shooting like 30% from the free throw line and like 10% from 3, but the numbers have since gone up as his time in the league has increased. But nonetheless, the Brooklyn Nets would end up choking 2 straight games and then losing this series as Wardell had a chance to find somebody late in the game for a wide open 3 and they missed. That's just how the game goes. A lot of times you don't take the shot. As your point guard, you find the guy that you think should and it doesn't go in, and the Nets will watch another season go right on by without winning a championship. And they're so used to seeing confetti fall for the other team, it's not even funny anymore, man. Finishing out year 6, man, the Thunder went on to win the NBA title and Chet Holmgren wins finals MVP, and we're off. Going into year 7, the media had a lot of questions for Wardell. Would he stay? Would he go? He told the media, "I still believe in my guys, in this team, and that we can win an NBA title." And thus, he came out year 7 ready to go, and the team believed in him as well, which is why they acquired guard Devin Booker. Hey, he might be 34, but he can still provide something for the squad, and that proved as this year, Wardell had one of his best career years to date, and finally got an all-star nod and made the starting lineup, but I lost the footage. Hey man, you're gonna have to take my word for it, he was balling out. But nonetheless, the team brought in some reinforcements before the deadline, and it didn't really help that much as the team finished 7th in the East, yet again a play-in squad. Wardell did make All-NBA first team this year, but it didn't matter because the Nets were one of the first teams out of the play-in as they lost to the Miami Heat, and thus another season in disappointment. It's not looking too good for Wardell, y'all. And with no real hope on the horizon, the media would pester Wardell in the offseason about his thoughts on the team, but he stuck to his word. He would not run from the grind. He loves the city of Brooklyn. He was determined to win this team a championship. And then the 2030-2031 season happened. Season 8, the team acquired Scotty Barnes and center JT Chills, and the Brooklyn Nets were once again the #1 team in the Eastern Conference. Wardell putting up historically monster numbers of 28 and 14, as well as 2.7 steals per game, would earn him MVP of the league year 8. Could this be the year? Could this be the year the Brooklyn Nets finally escape their early exit woes and go all the way? After beating Toronto in a competitive series in the first round, the Nets would go on to sweep the Cleveland Cavaliers in the second round and move on to the Eastern Conference Finals with fair ease. Seemed like it was all coming together for Wardell. MVP, historic playoff run. Could this be the year? And imagine this. This man did all of this without taking a single 3-point field goal. Think about that. This man could possibly be changing the NBA back, going backwards. This man could be eliminating the 3-point shot from being important to winning an NBA title. Now this series against Washington proved to be competitive as the teams would split the first 2 games of the series while the Nets had the home court advantage. Both teams went to Washington and split both games in DC as well, as the teams would come back to Brooklyn with the 2-2 series tie. And in the balance, this team, this guy right here, Wardell, would step up in game 5 and put the team on his back and lead the Nets to a 3-2 series lead. But of course, in dramatic fashion, the Wizards will blow out the Brooklyn Nets in Capital One Arena, leading to none other than the 2 best words in basketball, Game 7. This is a chance where legends are made, teams step up, and teams fail. And then there was one team, the Brooklyn Nets. Wardell Curry dribbles out the clock at Barclays Center, and the Brooklyn fans, the city, and the team can finally celebrate their team going to an NBA Finals for the first time since the team moved to Brooklyn. Greatness. Wardell, Scotty, Wendell Carter. When did he get on the team? Why is he holding the Nah, I ain't gonna lie. I'm gonna let that go because you know what? This is a good moment. And the Nets advanced to play none other than the Dallas Mavericks, who have Luka Doncic, Bam Adebayo, and a bunch of really good players. Hey, the Nets have come this far and they don't intend on folding. The first 2 games in Brooklyn will go as follows. The Nets would lose game 1, but follow it up by winning game 2, and Wardell put on a monstrous performance in front of the home crowd, dropping a finals high 21 assists on 40 points, 18 is 27 from the field, and he'll also follow it up in game 3 in Dallas of 38 points, 14 assists, but Luka Doncic and the Dallas Mavericks would hold down home court after 2 all-time great performances, and the Mavericks will go up 3-1 against the Brooklyn Nets with a chance to win game 5 in the finals in Brooklyn. Disappointing to say the least. When you're going against Luka Doncic at 2K, it's really not much you can do. So, game 5 in Brooklyn, the game is tied at 126 apiece with less than a minute to go. This is not the first time the Nets have been down 3-1, but the game was in Wardell's hands and he gets swatted by defensive legend Luka Doncic, who passes it out for a wide open 3. I thought it was a 3, it was a 2-pointer. Nonetheless, the Nets are down 2 again. The ball in Curry's hand and he attacks the basket strong and gets the fouls. And he's an improved free throw shooter, as we all know, now shooting 76% from the free throw line. But with the finals at stake, this man misses a free throw. Wow. Still 35 seconds left. He has a chance to redeem himself by making at least 1 free throw. And on the second free throw shot, wow. On the ensuing possession, Luka Doncic may miss a wide open shot, but the center is there for the putback dunk. And the game, just like that, ladies and gentlemen, is over. The finals is won, but not by Wardell or the Nets. The Dallas Mavericks storm into Brooklyn, win 4 games out of 5, and celebrate the NBA championship in Barclays. I can't lie to y'all. This was sad. This loss was so devastating that Wardell made one decision, and one decision only. He ran from the grind. He demanded a trade from the Brooklyn Nets, and thus year 9 on a new team. And that team was the Cleveland Cavaliers, man. Yes, he forced the Brooklyn Nets to trade him to Cleveland so he could pair up with dynamic power forward Evan Mobley, who at this point in his career who also has not won an NBA championship yet. And despite having another great individual regular season, year 9 did not fare well as a team for Wardell and the Cleveland Cavs, as they would finish 8th in the East. And despite winning their play-in games, they will face the Indiana Pacers in the first round. And I'm just be honest with y'all, man. I think Wardell made a horrible decision coming to Cleveland and forcing his way out of Brooklyn, man. Listen, sometimes you got to stick with the grind. The two of Evan Mobley and Wardell Curry would only end up playing this one season with each other, as Evan would skate in the offseason in year 10. Despite winning Defensive Player of the Year, it was just another unsuccessful season for Cleveland, and I decided to stop the simulation, y'all. I think it was clear, and as mentioned here by Stephen Curry himself, he will be the best Curry until another Curry has to do something way better than Wardell did. But nonetheless, if you like this video, man, please leave your boy a like. Let me know what other player I should do this for. And until next time, it's your boy Sal. Hey, go drink some water.